The Old Spanish Trail has been described as the longest, crookedest, most arduous pack mule route in the history of America. The trail was a network of paths first blazed by American Indians that was eventually followed by Taos trappers and merchants. Between 1829 and 1848, traders took blankets, hides, and other merchandise to California in exchange for horses and mules. Some segments would eventually become routes of military conquest. For many centuries, the Taos Valley was a center for trade between Spanish traders, Pueblo tribes, and tribes from the plains such as the Comanche. The Martinez Hacienda functioned as a trading center where goods could be bought, sold, and traded along the trail.
The Hacienda de los Martinez was built in 1804 by Severino Martinez. He was a very optimistic man, and he knew that with hard work that he would be able to pull off one of the biggest trade centers here in northern New Mexico.
Think about supply lines 200 years ago in the period of the old Spanish Trail and what people were moving and depending on and wanting to trade for.
Socks and blankets. These were some of the most valuable things that the hacienda provided for explorers and even the locals who needed blankets and just clothes.
This would have been the road that people would have used with mules and horses and driving sheep back in that period when the old Spanish Trail was moving woven woolen goods in an annual caravan to California, which took about 90 days. And then the drive back from California with up to 4,000 horses would have taken about 45 days because horses can move much faster than packed mules.
Rugged travelers and traders followed these routes for centuries, even while under the changing dynamics of governments in power.
Santa Fe would have been the place where folks using this road would have started. One of the primary concerns of any traveler here was water. Where were they going to get water? Not only for themselves, but for their livestock. And one would be tempted to think, well, we'll get the water, or they got the water from the Rio Grande River. But that was too far away, and you can imagine what, if anybody of you have been there, it would have been like to hike down the side of the Rio Grande Gorge, gotten water, and brought the water back up, and then carried it up here. That would not have worked. So the water supply came from snowfall from the mountains to our east. That snow melted into a number of drainages, most of them unnamed, and the drainages flowed to the Rio Grande River.
There were days when the mules would not have any forage or any water. And so the annual caravans were scheduled so that they'd be leaving New Mexico in October and passing through the California desert in the vicinity of Barstow during the coolest days of the year in December and January. And even so, there were disasters regularly recorded on the trail in these trading mule pack caravans.
During October, there was a big truce of the mountain men and the Indians and the Spanish, where they would have a week of trading here at the hacienda, and they would call a truce so that they would all be able to get ready for the winter. And so the natives brought all the vegetables and food they had grown all summer, and the Spanish, well, they had all these textiles, and the mountain men would bring all the the fur. And
Pueblo families had lived and farmed in the Taos Valley for at least 4 centuries before the Spanish first ventured into New Mexico in 1540. This portion of the Upper Rio Grande provides travelers with easy access to the Rocky Mountains through the San Luis Valley and the Great Plains via mountain passes to the east of Taos.
This road doesn't look all that much like a thoroughfare to you now, but from probably pre-Spanish time, prior to 1500, until the early part of the 20th century, this was basically I-25 between Santa Fe and Taos.
the Spanish in the area were very devoted Catholic members, and so along the Camino Real coming up from Mexico, they would bring a lot of these iconic figures to fill the chapels and fill the missions that were being built.
The landscape of the Old Spanish National Historic Trail goes back to the National Trail Systems Act, which was passed in 1968. Our sign program allows travelers on highways to understand that they're traveling on an historic route as a gateway to getting out of that vehicle and exercising and getting open air appreciation of an historic landscape.
As you drive through Taos today, you will notice the recently installed Old Spanish Trail signs, which marks a historic Southwest Indigenous trading network. To learn more about its history and trails that you can hike, go to oldspanishtrail.org.